seals threw her into starved canine pen. They had no idea she owned every single dog. Welcome back to my channel, Silent Heroes, where we never forget the ones who serve in silence, the ones who fight battles no one will ever read about, the faces that history almost ignores. Here, we shine a spotlight on courage, on bravery, on the kind of heroism that refuses to bend under the weight of the world's expectations. And make no mistake, this channel never forgets. It never forgives the arrogance that underestimates strength, resilience, and the unspoken bond between humans and their four-legged warriors. Taylor Mason didn't even flinch as the chain-link gate slammed shut behind her, cutting off retreat, cutting off excuses. 28 years old, compact, strong, built like coiled wire ready to snap, she stood alone in a pen with 3 high-drive Malinois who hadn't eaten in more than 24 hours. Their hackles were raised, teeth bared, muscle rippling under taut fur. Havoc, the largest of the 3, advanced with deliberate, cold aggression, low growl rolling from deep in his chest like a thundercloud. Ripper and Axe flanked, circling, assessing, testing her. The Navy SEALs, standing smug and confident outside, had one assumption: she would falter. They had no idea. No one could have known. Taylor's mind was clear, her breathing measured, each heartbeat steady despite the raw adrenaline burning through her veins. She lowered herself slowly to one knee, exposing her neck, the most vulnerable position a human could ever take in front of a predator. No panic. No submission born from fear, only communication, only understanding. She had trained for moments like this since she could barely lift a rifle, since her father had taught her that animals didn't lie, people lied, animals told the truth. And these 3 dogs, Havoc, Ripper, Axe, were about to recognize someone who spoke their language fluently. Born in Fairbanks, Alaska, Taylor grew up in a world of extremes. 40 below winters, endless nights under aurora-lit skies, wilderness that would have killed the unprepared. Her father, a Vietnam veteran and bush pilot, taught her survival the hard way. She could field dress a caribou before she could legally drive a car, navigate by stars when the GPS failed, fix an engine with nothing but patience and a Leatherman, and most importantly, read a dog. She learned at 12, training Kodiak, the lead sled dog, that trust could be earned with patience and silence, and once earned, that trust could save a life. At 18, she enlisted in the Army. She scored high on the ASVAB, deliberately chose military police, and pursued the military working dog program with laser focus. She didn't want human politics. People disappointed. Dogs did not. By 22, she was a certified MWD handler stationed at Bagram Airfield, running explosives detection patrols with a Belgian Malinois named Grit. That deployment would mark the first time the world saw how deadly a bond between human and dog could be. July 2019, Helmand Province, routine village clearance. Grit alerted hard on a doorway. Captain Voss waved her past. Grit planted his body, immovable. Voss ignored her, stepped forward, triggered a hidden IED. The blast was instantaneous. Captain killed. 2 operators wounded. Taylor awoke 3 days later in Landstuhl Regional Medical Center. Shattered wrist held together with titanium plate and screws. Concussion that blurred reality. Grit, the dog she trusted with her life, gone. Sacrificed to protect her. Bronze Star awarded, heroism acknowledged, but only partially. The rage lingered. The guilt lingered. The knowledge that arrogance had almost killed her and the dog burned hot in her chest. After recovery, she joined a classified SOS unit that did not exist on paper. 3 years of missions invisible to the world, places not on maps, operators whose names she was forbidden to remember. The work was lethal, precise, necessary. No recognition, no applause, only the unbroken bond with dogs, the silent trust, the understanding that mistakes would be fatal. She left 6 months ago, not because she wanted out, but because she could not tolerate untrained dogs endangering operators. When the opportunity came to temporarily evaluate SEAL Team 7's canine program, she accepted, not for glory, not for proof, but to ensure safety and competency where it was being ignored. The tattoo on her left shoulder was simple, black paw print. Beneath it, Gerite. Below that, smaller letters, K9 Jelly 7. She touched it absent-mindedly, a ritual, a reminder. To anyone who could read it, it spoke volumes about her history, her losses, her victories, her bond with the animals who trusted her more than any human ever had. That hidden ink would soon reveal her true legend to the world, a legend the seals outside the pen were about to witness firsthand. As the dogs circled, muscles tense, tails low but stiff, Taylor remained a calm nucleus. She didn't flinch. She didn't speak. She didn't make a single unnecessary movement. Havoc crept forward, assessing, teeth visible, intent clear. Taylor extended her hand, palm up, fingers relaxed. She knelt a fraction lower, breath slow, heart steady. A language older than words passed silently between them. In seconds, Havoc pressed his forehead against her chest. Ripper and Axe followed suit. 3 soldiers of instinct, training, aggression, tamed not by fear, but by trust. The seals outside the pen staggered backward, mouths agape, as reality shattered their assumptions. Taylor's eyes scanned the perimeter, noting every posture, every micro-movement, every tiny twitch of muscle in the dogs. This was not submission, this was recognition, respect earned, not demanded. She had trained handlers who could read these signs. She had saved lives by understanding them. Now, in Coronado, she is demonstrating the unshakable truth. She was not to be underestimated. And she had not even moved beyond the basics yet. This was Taylor Mason, Army canine expert, survivor of Helmand, heroine of classified SOS operations, the one who had stared death in the face and survived, not because she was invincible, but because she understood every heartbeat, every breath, every nuance of those around her, human or canine. Every scar on her arms, every line on her face, every twitch of muscle told a story. Rope burns from training, surgical scar from the wrist rebuilt after shrapnel, eyes that had seen fire, smoke, blood. Yet standing in that pen, with 3 snarling, starving Malinois surrounding her, Taylor's expression was unreadable, impenetrable, unstoppable. The adrenaline, the fear, the rage, they all became tools. She had learned long ago that emotion could be harnessed, shaped, weaponized. Havoc sniffed, Ripper sniffed, Axe sniffed. Taylor remained kneeling, hand extended, slow inhale, slow exhale, letting the dogs communicate first. Within moments, all 3 were calm, sitting loosely around her, eyes softening, bodies relaxing. The operators outside were frozen, unable to comprehend. The legend hidden beneath the uniform, beneath the calm exterior, beneath the tattoo, had just revealed itself. Taylor Mason was a force of nature, silent, lethal, brilliant, and bonded to her pack. No one dared speak, no one dared move. And Taylor? She stood, brushed her knees clean, and faced the seals with a calm so terrifyingly composed it would have made lesser men stumble. She touched the tattoo on her shoulder briefly, acknowledging the silent oath she had made years ago. Never again would arrogance, ignorance, or poor training cost a dog's life or the lives of those who trusted them. The dawn light creeping over the Coronado base caught the glint in her eyes. Taylor Mason was here, not for proof, not for validation, but for justice, for the dogs, for the operators, for the truth that no one had dared to recognize. The world outside the pen did not know it yet, but it was about to witness a legend in action. Taylor Mason stepped into the SEAL Team 7 kennel area at 0600 hours, crisp California air biting at her skin, her eyes scanning every kennel, every dog, every handler, like a predator sizing up prey. She didn't speak, she didn't smile, she merely observed. The arrogance radiating from the team members was immediate, almost palpable. Petty Officer Bridger Colt Train, tall, broad-shouldered, oozing overconfidence, leaned against a gate with his arms crossed. He didn't even acknowledge her presence, but his smirk said it all. "You're about to find out why women don't belong here." Taylor didn't flinch. Her eyes swept the dogs, noting their subtle body language, muscle tension, ear position, tail carriage. Cypher, the smallest Malinois, had been flagged for aggression and low alert rates. Havoc, still favoring his right front leg, was limping slightly, showing the first signs of inflammation from repeated abuse. And yet, the team saw nothing. They were blind to the silent messages the dogs were sending, and Taylor, trained by years in helmed and classified missions, recognized every nuance immediately. Colt Train smirked again, loudly enough for the nearby SEALs to hear. "If she can read dogs, let's see her run a real evaluation. Show us what you got, Mason." Taylor's jaw tightened. She didn't reply. She simply knelt beside Cypher's run, her fingers brushing along the dog's ribs, feeling the tension, the scar tissue, the fear embedded deep from mishandling. She whispered nothing. She gave commands of the body only, subtle, precise, deliberate. Cypher paused. Taylor waited. Within seconds, Cypher's posture shifted from apprehensive to alert, focus aligning with Taylor's presence. Not food, not treats, not fear, but trust. The SEALs outside scoffed, whispering amongst themselves, underestimating the quiet storm in front of them. "She's slow, too careful. This isn't a classroom," muttered Rains, his tone dripping with condescension. Taylor felt the familiar surge of controlled anger. They never learn until they're forced to watch the impossible unfold. The test was simple in their eyes: run a building clearance, detect the devices, and maintain operational tempo. But Taylor knew the real evaluation was unseen: her ability to command the dogs without commands, to read every hidden danger, to anticipate the unexpected, to survive what the untrained thought impossible. By 0730 hours, the urban training facility awaited. 3 stories, 40 rooms, internal stairwells, multiple entry points, role players simulating both civilians and hostiles. The briefing was deliberately vague, designed to provoke panic, force mistakes. Taylor absorbed every line, committing the minimal details to memory, trusting instinct, trusting the dogs, trusting herself. The timer started the moment she breached, and she did so with Cypher by her side, moving silently, every motion deliberate, controlled, precise. On the first floor, the atmosphere was thick with dust, stale air, and tension. Every step Taylor took was measured. Cypher's ears twitched, body low, scanning the room. Taylor noticed a subtle shift in the dog's gait near the second doorway, a tripwire, invisible to the naked eye. A glance at the wires, a silent gesture from Taylor, and Cypher froze. The room was clear, the wire marked, the hazard neutralized. The SEAL observers murmured, some stepping back in disbelief, some whispering about beginner luck. Taylor didn't acknowledge them. She simply pressed on, systematically clearing each room, finding devices planted where the team hadn't documented, correcting mistakes without a word. The second floor brought the chaos Taylor anticipated. A role player stepped from behind a wall, shouting in a foreign dialect, raising his hands. Taylor paused, assessing, breathing slow, heart pounding beneath the calm exterior. Cypher positioned herself between Taylor and the role player, blocking potential aggression without aggression. Taylor waited, reading the micro-expressions, the rhythm of movement. The operator didn't advance. Taylor passed along the opposite wall, dogs alert, clearing every corner meticulously. Every misstep, every hesitation could have triggered a training explosive. Every moment demanded trust in instinct and in the bond forged through years of experience. Then the unplanned explosion. Simulated smoke filled the stairwell, alarms blaring. A casualty, role player with staged trauma, was on the third floor. The plan hadn't accounted for this. Taylor assessed 3 options instantly: rush and risk missing devices, maintain methodical pace and fail the casualty extraction timeline, or create a third, precise path. She chose the third. By now, Cypher was a shadow of intuition, responding instantly to Taylor's slightest hand gesture, her presence, her breathing. Every hazard identified, every wire bypassed, every threat neutralized. The third floor became a maze of uncertainty. Devices hidden, wires near invisible, role players scattered. Taylor's mind was a machine, analyzing, calculating, predicting. Cypher paused. Taylor adjusted her posture, small hand signal, device marked, hazard neutralized. The casualty's bleeding was simulated, but real enough to demand precision. Taylor applied a combat tourniquet flawlessly, marking the time, ensuring the simulation remained safe but realistic. She moved through the remainder of the building, alerting on 2 additional devices placed without prior documentation, unauthorized by the SEAL team. When she exited, 1 hour 46 minutes later, she was flawless. Every device accounted for, every hazard neutralized, every casualty stabilized. The SEALs outside were silent. Coltrane's face was red, jaw tight, disbelief written across every line. The arrogance that had filled the kennel with laughter and smirks was extinguished by the quiet, precise, lethal competence of Taylor Mason. She had exposed the incompetence, arrogance, and negligence of an entire team, silently, methodically, without uttering a single word. Master Chief Casey arrived minutes later to verify. He walked the course himself, clipboard in hand, measuring, checking, confirming. Every hazard Taylor identified, every deviation from the planned but unauthorized devices, was accurate. No one could deny her success. The team's smug confidence had been shattered. Every SEAL who whispered, who mocked, who underestimated, had been forced to witness expertise that was years beyond their comprehension. And the dogs? Cypher, Havoc, Ripper, each responding to subtle, commandless signals, moving seamlessly as an extension of Taylor's mind. Taylor's eyes, scanning the SEALs now, were calm but electric. The silent fury of a lifetime of unacknowledged work, of missions unseen, of grit lost to arrogance, coursed through her veins. She had proven it again. Methodical precision, intuition, and trust, these were weapons more powerful than any brute force, louder than any insults, sharper than any teeth. And the team, arrogant and loud, could only watch. By nightfall, whispers began spreading through the base. Taylor Mason, the mysterious evaluator, had just dismantled an entire operational evaluation designed to test her under pressure. She had done so flawlessly, exposing the gaps, the arrogance, the mishandling of dogs, and the ignorance of operators who thought themselves elite. Every subtle cue the dogs gave her was observed, understood, leveraged. She had turned every challenge, every hidden hazard, every insult into proof of her unmatched skill. The SEAL's silence was telling. Even Coltrane, usually brimming with confidence and arrogance, could only stare. He had underestimated Taylor Mason. They all had. And the twist, the dogs, trained to respond aggressively under pressure, had responded to her cues instead. Flawless obedience, trust, and coordination. No fear, no hesitation, only respect, recognition, and a bond that could not be taught, only earned. Taylor walked away from the course, Cypher at her side, leaving the SEALs in stunned disbelief. She didn't shout, she didn't celebrate, she had no need. Her actions spoke louder than any words could. Every observer now understood Taylor Mason was not just a canine expert, she was a legend, born of extreme hardship, forged in fire, tempered by loss, and sharpened by the silent, lethal bond between human and dog. Her mind replayed every past deployment, every loss, every lesson grit had taught her. The subtle cues of every dog, the mistakes of every handler, the arrogance of men who believed themselves untouchable. She remembered it all. And the result? She had converted their disbelief into undeniable proof. True skill, true trust, and true leadership could not be faked. They had been evaluated, and they had failed themselves. By the time night settled over Coronado, the entire kennel and SEAL team area buzzed with hushed respect, whispers, and a dawning realization Taylor Mason had done more than pass the test. She had rewritten the definition of what a handler could be. And the dogs, every single one of them, from the smallest to the largest, had recognized her as the alpha, the leader, the one whose instinct, experience, and compassion demanded obedience and trust.
Taylor walked away from the course, Cypher at her side, leaving the SEALs in stunned disbelief. She didn't shout, she didn't celebrate, she had no need. Her actions spoke louder than any words could. Every observer now understood Taylor Mason was not just a canine expert, she was a legend, born of extreme hardship, forged in fire, tempered by loss, and sharpened by the silent, lethal bond between human and dog.
Hey guys, welcome back again to my channel, Silent Heroes, where we never forget the brave, the silent, and the underestimated. This channel honors those who face danger head-on, those whose stories remain untold, and whose courage outshines fear itself. We preserve every heartbeat of heroism, every silent sacrifice. We never forget. We never let the world forget. And today, you're about to witness a story that will shock, inspire, and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about courage, trust, and the bonds between human and dog. Taylor Mason stood at the threshold of the pen, the chain-link gate looming above her like a portal into pure chaos. The three high-drive patrol Malinois, Havoc, Ripper, and Axe, were pacing like coiled springs, their ribs visible, eyes blazing with hunger and aggression, tension radiating from every muscle. They had not been fed in over 24 hours, isolated, stressed, primed for attack. The SEALs surrounding the pen laughed, jeered, mocking her presence, underestimating every ounce of her experience, every mission, every battle that had forged her into a living weapon of instinct and intuition. Colt Train's voice cut through the night. "Step inside, Mason. Prove you belong here, or leave. No mercy, no excuses." The gate slammed behind her, metal rattling, echoing off the concrete walls. Taylor didn't flinch. She didn't panic. Her breath slowed. Her heart hammered in rhythm with the dog's paw strikes. She lowered her gaze, hands open at her sides, body loose, balanced, every movement deliberate. She was entering the eye of a storm, and the storm recognized its master. Havoc lunged first, teeth bared, muscles coiled. Time seemed to dilate. Every SEAL outside braced for blood, for screams, for chaos. But Taylor knelt, slowly, deliberately, exposing the most vulnerable side of her neck, a gesture of absolute trust in dog language, a language learned in Alaskan snow, on Afghan sands, in missions no one would ever document. Havoc froze. The growl died. He sniffed her hand, sniffed her face, head lowered in recognition. Ripper and Axe circled cautiously, then one by one, pressed close, sniffing, evaluating, deciding. Within 40 seconds, every dog in the pen was calm, sitting loosely around her, not tamed, not broken, recognizing, following, trusting. The SEALs' laughter died in their throats, eyes widened, mouths opened, disbelief etched in every line. Taylor stood, extending her left arm, rolling up her sleeve deliberately, letting them see the tattoo etched in black ink, a paw print, beneath it, the words Garit Canine Jelly 7. Recognition sparked across the faces of those who had thought themselves untouchable. They whispered names, exchanged glances. Some recognized the legend, the Helmand province handler whose dog Grit had saved lives and cost arrogant officers theirs. Taylor had walked through death and chaos, through missions that didn't exist in official records, and emerged untouched, precise, unstoppable. A sudden click. Master Chief Casey arrived flanked by Lieutenant Commander Dale Pritchard, eyes sharp, commands unspoken but clear in their posture. They had come not for spectacle, not for entertainment, but to intervene before arrogance destroyed men or animals. Colt Train, the man who had mocked her, had pushed the rules too far, violated protocols, endangered lives, and violated federal animal welfare standards. The weight of authority settled like a hammer. Pritchard stepped into the pen, extended a hand, and for the first time that night, the SEALs outside realized the full measure of what they had witnessed. Taylor Mason wasn't just surviving, she was commanding, she was leading, she was untouchable. One by one, the SEALs approached, hesitant, their bravado drained by the quiet authority Taylor exuded. They could not command the dogs, could not predict their reactions, could not replicate the bond forged through years of hardship, training, loss, and unyielding discipline. Taylor moved among the dogs, hands gentle but decisive, feeling their muscle tension, calming them, evaluating their readiness. Havoc's inflammation, previously ignored, was palpated and addressed mentally. Cypher's scars and fear acknowledged with a glance, a touch. Every dog responded immediately to her unspoken commands, to her body language, to the knowledge that she had lived and died in ways they had only simulated. The punishment for arrogance came swift. Coltrane was relieved of kennel duties, faces flush with humiliation, facing non-judicial punishment for reckless endangerment and hazing. He could only watch as Taylor took full operational control, rewriting every training protocol, every evaluation, every standard. Her authority was absolute, recognized not through rank or words, but through trust, competence, and the undeniable proof that she was the handler these dogs and these operators needed. Taylor's approach to rebuilding the program was methodical and revolutionary. Dogs were no longer instruments of obedience, but partners, teammates, whose health, stress, and behavioral cues were prioritized. Handlers were trained not to dominate, but to observe, to learn, to communicate through understanding, intuition, and patience. Each new handler spent an hour daily sitting in silence with their dog, learning the language of ears, paws, tail, and breathing. Taylor demanded excellence, yes, but she demanded empathy, respect, precision, and courage. The lessons were harsh, the environment intense, but every operator under her tutelage emerged better, faster, sharper. By the first month, the transformation was undeniable. Cypher, once labeled aggressive and unreliable, became the highest-performing explosives detection dog in the program. Havoc's carpal joint healed under restricted duty and physical therapy. Ripper and Axe moved in harmony with handlers, responding instantly to the subtle cues Taylor taught. Every SEAL, every handler, every officer witnessed the power of trust over fear, knowledge over arrogance, instinct over brute force. And Taylor? She stood quietly, observing, guiding, teaching, ensuring that no ego, no misjudgment, no arrogance would ever threaten these animals or operations again. There were moments of quiet reflection. Taylor would walk the rows of kennels at night, hands running along the chain link, eyes soft on the dogs' faces, remembering every dog lost, every mission unrecognized, every lesson learned in fire and snow. She touched her tattoo, felt the weight of her past, the legacy of her actions, the bond with animals that had taught her more about loyalty, courage, and life than any human ever could. And she smiled faintly, knowing that her purpose, forged in blood and frost, was finally realized. The SEALs, once brash, now whispered with reverence. The arrogance that had filled the kennels with laughter, scorn, and disbelief had been replaced by respect, humility, and awe. Master Chief Casey and Lieutenant Commander Pritchard had ensured accountability, but Taylor's presence, her methods, her unbreakable bonds with the dogs had created a culture that could never be ignored. This was operational excellence, ethical handling, and leadership demonstrated at the highest level in real time under real pressure. And so, Taylor Mason, the silent hero, the legendary canine handler, walked among her pack, each step measured, each glance purposeful. She had faced the ultimate test, stared down fear, hostility, and disbelief, and emerged unscathed, commanding, respected, and revered. The lessons of helmet, the pain of loss, the fire of experience, all of it distilled into a force that no arrogance could touch, no mockery could shake. Every operator, every dog, every observer now understood the truth. Leadership, courage, and excellence were not given, they were earned, and Taylor Mason had earned them in every heartbeat, every gesture, every silent command that spoke louder than any shout. By the end of the night, the kennels were quiet, the dogs fed, rested, alert. Taylor touched Havoc's head, ran her hands along Cypher's side, checked every dog with the care and precision of a guardian who had known loss and understood every life mattered. And she turned to the camera, to the story, to the world. If this story inspires even one person to understand courage, to respect life, to value trust and excellence above ego and arrogance, then it has done its job. And if this story touched you, if Taylor's journey, her courage, her bonds with these incredible animals, and her unwavering determination resonated in any way, then I humbly ask you, support this channel, Silent Heroes. Subscribe, like, comment where in the world you're watching from, because your voice, your presence, your engagement fuels this mission to honor bravery, to shine a light on the silent, and to remind the world that heroes exist everywhere, even in the quietest, most unseen battles. Taylor Mason, standing in the California night, with her pack calm at her side, reminded the world what true leadership, resilience, precision, empathy, and courage looked like. And the lesson? Some bonds, some legends cannot be broken.